Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Thought I'd make another video for you today. I'm just out here hanging out in the van. It's a pretty nice day outside. It's a little bit windy though. So I've got the side door open, getting some fresh air inside. I can't open the roof vents at the moment, unfortunately, because it's so windy that it makes them flap around and it possibly can damage them. I've actually already had one get damaged in the wind, so if anyone out there's got a fantastic vent fan, just bear that in mind. If it's really windy, you might want to put them down. My front one day I came in to the van and it had been raining and there was water on the floor, and I figured out where it had come from. Basically the lid, the smoked lid on the fantastic vent fan was cracked in quite a few places. It kind of like fractured off and gone, branched off. And yeah, I was going to buy a new one, but they're quite expensive. It was like $70 Australian or something. And yeah, I just thought it's too much. I'd rather try and fix it if I can. So I ended up managing to fix it. It only cost me a total of $5 worth of epoxy, I think. And yeah, I just took the lid off, cleaned it all up, and I got a soldering iron and kind of re-welded where the cracks were on both sides, put some epoxy on it, Sikaflex, put it back on. It's been perfect ever since. But since then I've been a bit more careful in the wind, so yeah, it's kind of warm here too, which sucks. But yeah, having the side door open with the amount of wind that we got today is not too bad. So I'm just hanging out here, and if you haven't seen, not too long ago, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now, I made a tour of the van. It's just a basic tour, and I said I was going to go into more depth with the different systems in the van, and that's what I thought I would do. So I'm going to talk about the water system today, which is under my kitchen bench. So I've had to clean all that out. It normally has a whole load of junk under there. So I've cleaned out underneath the bench so you can see. I'm going to chuck a couple of lights on in there, and I'll explain how it all works here. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Stick around and have a look. So as I was saying before, my water system is all under my kitchen counter. It's directly under my sink, in fact. And I put quite a bit of thought into how and where I was going to build it. And this was what I came up with. So I'll walk you through it. Basically, it's in the cabinet underneath the kitchen counter, and to access it I've got this, what I call a bifold door. So it's just a normal sort of door that opens up, but it also opens up further if you have the room. And the reason that I did that is because when the bed is down, it actually comes all the way up to here, so you can only open half of the door. But then I wanted to have good access, so when I put the bed up I can open it all the way up. And I normally use this area just for storage and stuff. There's normally a bunch of mess in there that I cleaned out. And I also keep my LPG or propane, depending on where you're from, tanks in there for the stove. Now you can see underneath here, that's the bottom of the sink that sticks down, and then that's the water tank itself. The water tank is a 70-litre Fiamma tank. You might have seen them, because I have seen quite a few other vans using the same tank. Everyone seems to use them different. You can actually mount them in a lot of different ways. They're designed to kind of fit your needs, which I really like. And the other thing that I really liked about this, which is one of the big reasons I chose it, is this big red lid here actually unscrews, and it's quite a big hole and you can fit your whole arm in there. So if you want to clean the tank out at any point, you just drain it out, open up that, and you can get in there and scrub it, which most water tanks you can't do with. You know, they only have the small holes in them that you use for the hoses. So that was one of the big things that I liked about this. Not that I have to clean the tank very often, but just if you want to, you can. So basically, I'll show you from the sink first. Underneath the sink, I've got this attachment here which connects to just some clear hose, and the clear hose goes all the way down, and I drilled a hole through the floor to get rid of all the sink water. It just drains outside, which is not really a problem. I use biodegradable detergents and things, and my dishes are pretty clean anyway because I wipe them first before I wash them in the sink. So yeah, I just thought do that, keep it simple rather than putting a grey water tank in, which is just something else to maintain and cause smell. So that's the sink, that's how that drains. And then if you look under here, just up here, this is the filler hose for the tank, for the freshwater tank. It's just clipped on there, but basically if I bring this down, you can see it's got a little cap on it. Pop the cap off, and it's just got a, I don't know if you can see that, just a quick release, just typical garden hose connection. So you can connect the hose to it, and then it just clips up there. The reason it's up so high is obviously just so that it's higher than the water line, so that when the tank is full, if you're driving, it's not going to slosh out. So I did it like that. And then this here is an overflow, so that when I'm filling it, as it fills up, it becomes pressurized and it pushes the excess water out and goes down and drains out of the floor as well. So it allows me to fill it up, it allows the air to escape as it's filling, and also when it does finally fill up, the water escapes out there as well. This is the hose that I use to fill it. I actually put a lot of thought into the hose as well. I'll just put that in the light so you can see it. So on one end I've got this connection here, just your standard hose connection, and I've got a valve that I can turn on and off. This is the inside connection, so that I can control the water from the inside. So I connect that to there first, and I go outside, and making sure that this is turned off, I'll turn on the hose from outside, and then I can come inside and open it up and control the flow as it fills up. When it fills up, I can turn it off, go outside, turn the hose off, and disconnect it. Now, I could have just done what most people do, which is you add a sort of fill point on the outside, and they just have a little door that opens up and a screw cap, and you fill it up like you fill up your petrol. But I didn't want to do that for a couple of reasons. I didn't want to have to cut holes in the outside of the van, and I also wanted to keep the van as plain and stealth on the outside as possible. So I made the filler on the inside. It also just keeps the whole install simple. There's not quite as much cutting and things involved. So that's how I did that. And this one here is actually a one-way. It's got a little stopper valve in there, so that if for whatever reason this pops off like hoses do sometimes and it's inside the van, it's not just going to spray everywhere, it will just stop. So I put quite a bit of thought into the actual hose itself, but that's what I use, and I just keep it up the top there. I'll move it out of the way for now. So then we have the fill, the overflow, access for cleaning, and down the bottom we have two more connections. Now this one at the back here, this one comes out and goes up to my electric pump, which is a Flowjet, that's the brand, and that one is, it's quite a small pump, but it works really well. I didn't want to go too overkill. When I worked at the motorhome company, they used quite a bit bigger pumps, but they were also using them for showers and things. Mine's just for the sink. I wanted to keep the energy consumption down, the noise down, and also the price. So that just goes, basically you can see the line just comes up the back and around the top there. That's my torch, it's lighting it up for you, but it connects underneath there, and that actually just connects to this tap. And what you might notice about this tap is it's quite a small tap. It's actually designed for water filters, but I chose that one on purpose because I was using a small pump. I wanted to use as little water as possible but still get decent pressure, and it comes out with good pressure. So that's why I chose that. It's got a small opening. You don't need to have the pump turned up as much to get the pressure out that you want, and as you can see, it actually comes out pretty well. It splashes everywhere. So that's the tap, and it works really well with this little pump. The second connection down the bottom of the tank is this one here, and it's a larger pipe than the connection at the back that runs into the water pump. It's basically a drain, and it comes from the lowest point of the tank here, runs to this valve. So at the moment the water is held inside, but if I crack that valve open, all the water from the tank would run out. It would run through here and it tees into the same drain line as the drain from the sink, and it would just go underneath the van. So basically the thinking behind this one was, there's a couple of reasons actually. Number one was just when I want to clean the tank, I just crack that open, drain all the water out, open up the lid at the back there, and I can scrub inside and rinse it all out. And as I'm rinsing it, it'll all just run out and go out to the bottom of the van. So that's the first reason. The second reason was more of like a fail-safe. It was just in case at any point I get a leak in the tank or anywhere in the water system, and I have to drain the water out so that it doesn't spill out onto the floor. So if I ever get a leak or any of the pipes or anything, or there's a crack in the tank, something like that, I just crack that open, and instead of having 70 litres of water on my van floor, it'll all just drain out to the ground outside. I haven't had to use it yet, luckily, touch wood, but it's just there kind of as a fail-safe, and if I ever do need to clean out the tank. So that's what that one is. Also under here, you can see I've got this cable coiled up. There's actually two cables there. There's a 15 amp and a 7.5 amp. They're not connected to anything yet, but when I was running the power for the pump, and also there's a couple of outlets that you can see. There's outlets on that side and then outlets on that side. When I was running the power for those, I had to run this conduit underneath the van floor into my electrical cabinet, and I just thought ahead. I thought, just in case, just for future proofing, if I ever want to install anything else, I'll run a couple of spare cables, because once this conduit's run, you can't really run any more cables through it. It's too difficult, and yeah, I didn't want to have to run a second conduit in the future, so it's really just future proofing. I just thought, just in case there's anything else I install. So I've got that. That's something to bear in mind when you guys are building your vans. Just try and think ahead of anything you might need in the future. I've also got my shore power cable up there, which I've never used, but it's there just in case. My fridge is just here. You can see it's strapped down there to a brace. The tank is braced. It's actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see from here, but there's 4 sort of threaded bars that have washers and nuts on them, and that's bolted to the frame of the cabinet at the back. It basically goes through here. But then also, just in case, I installed this brace across the front, just because basically this direction is the front of the van, so if you hit the brakes really hard, I just wanted to stop the water tank from wanting to come forward. And I also installed this here. This is just where I keep my cooking oil and cleaning stuff underneath the sink. So yeah, that's my water system, guys. Let me know what you think about that, and let me know if you have any other questions. I feel like I covered pretty much everything. I guess another thing to bear in mind is water, you have to take into account levels. So if you see, this is my overflow. It's higher than the level of the water, but it's lower than the level of the filler. So the filler is up here, so that if any movement of water or anything happens or overflows, it's going to go out there first rather than out here. So that's the highest point, is the filler. Then you've got the overflow, and then the level of the tank. So just bear that in mind when you're installing it. It's kind of it's a bit of a puzzle that you have to solve in your head before you install this stuff. So I know it's probably super windy and you might have trouble hearing me at the moment. I don't have a little fluffy wind cover for the mic, but I just thought before I go I would show you underneath the van where the water actually drains out, and quickly explain that to you. So I'm just going to climb down and have a look, see if I can find it for you. Should be able to see the pipes coming down just from the floor there. So I've got the black one is the electrical conduit, and then the clear ones are the overflow is a small one and the drain is the big one. And the drain I actually ran towards the center of the vehicle as far as I could, and just put a little 90 degree on there so it doesn't drain onto the exhaust. The reason why I ran the drain along towards the center of the van, as you could see underneath, is actually because when the water's draining out, I didn't want you to be able to see it from sort of the side of the van. I wanted to try and conceal it as much as possible. It's just running with the whole idea of stealth. If the water's draining in the middle of the van, then you're less likely to see. I didn't want people to just see water pouring out if I drained my sink. So that's why I did that, and I put that little 90-degree on it because before I put that on there, the water was just going straight into the exhaust, and I just thought you don't want to do that for a few reasons. But anyway, so I that was weird. So anyway, I just I put a 90-degree on there and it just drains straight down, and I've had no issues with it so far. It's been really good. Anyway guys, for now that is my video. I hope you all got some value from it or some entertainment. If you did, don't forget to like it and leave your comments below, letting me know what you think and also what you'd like to see next time. And if you're watching this and you haven't already subscribed, first of all, that's insane. But secondly, you should definitely do that now. So just go below the video and hit the subscribe button, and also hit that notification thing that everyone talks about, because otherwise it doesn't really mean much to subscribe these days for some crazy reason. I don't know, ask YouTube. They like to change things, and not always for the better. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon.